Hello, dear students. Today I am going to deal with the second part of the chapter, The Lost Spring. The topic of this is I Want to Drive a Car. This story is basically about the bangle makers of Firozabad. I just want to give an introduction about the bangle industry of Firozabad. This industry is a disorganized sector in which neither proper infrastructure nor the basic amenities are given to the bangle makers. They do their work in poorly ventilated and poorly lit places, and their furnaces are also just like dingy hovels. They have to work under extreme temperatures, and many young children are engaged in a mind numbing toil. So, here this story lets us have a glimpse of these poor bangle makers of Firozabad. So, let's begin with a line by line explanation. This story, I Want to Drive a Car, is about a boy named Mukesh. Mukesh insists on being his own master. He emphasizes that he does not want to work under someone, but he wants to be his own master. And his wish is to be a motor mechanic. He wants to be a motor mechanic and does not want to work under someone. To this statement, here Anish Junk is asking a question. Do you know anything about cars to Mukesh? And then he quickly answers that I will learn to drive a car. And he answers looking straight into my eyes. It means that he is quite confident that he will surely learn to drive a car. To this dream or statement, Anis Jung comments that his dream looms like a mirage amidst the dust of street that fill the town of Firozabad. That is, his dream looms. This word means appears. So his dream appears like a mirage. Mirage is an illusion which we see in the desert area. We have an illusion that water is there. So, in the same way, his dream is also like an illusion which is seen amidst the dust of street that is there in his town of Firozabad. This town, Firozabad, is famous for its bangles. Each and every family in Firozabad is engaged in making bangles. You can see over here that these spirals of bangles are kept. These people, they are engaged in making bangles. So there are many work, small tasks when you make a bangle. So the entire family is engaged in that. It is the centers of India's glass blowing industry. Before moving on, I'll try to explain what do you mean by glass blowing industry. You can see this picture over here that this is a furnace, and in this furnace this hot object is being inserted, and here in due to this high temperature it melts and it becomes a very thick liquid which is taken out and blown like this with the help of this pipe, and this substance is afterwards it is made into spirals and different shapes are formed of it. So that is why this is called glass blowing. So this is India's Firozabad is the center of India's glass blowing industry, where many families have spent generations working around furnaces. They weld glass. Furnace is a small area where there is extreme heat and temperature. So these people they weld glass and they make bangles for all the women of the land. When you see this picture, you can see near the furnace there are so many things, mask and protection equipment that the man is wearing. But people of Firozabad do not have any access to these equipments, sophisticated equipments, and so here the industry is quite different. The family of Mukesh is also one such family which is engaged in bangle making. And Anish Jung tells that none of them know that it is illegal for children like Mukesh to work in glass furnace at high temperature. These small children, you can see in this picture that they work in furnaces. This is a glass furnace and these children have to continuously look inside at the progress at which the glass is making. but the cell outside is quite dark, and so because of this extreme, they often lose their eyesight. So, here it is illegal for children like him to work and in high temperatures, in dingy cells, without air and light. And if this law against these small children working in glass bangle factory, is enforced, it could get him and all the 20,000 children out of the hot furnace. Where these people, they slog means to work tirelessly, a very tedious work they do during the daylight hours, and this leads to losing the brightness of their eyes. So this is the fact that is there of the child laborers of Firozabad, that they have to slog in the daylight hours and they often lose their eyesight. But Anish Jung tells that Mukesh eyes beam. Beam means to shine brightly. Why does his eyes shine brightly? We will look over here. Because he volunteers to take me home. So he is quite excited to take Anish Jung to his home. And he proudly proclaims that his home is being rebuilt. They walk down stinking lanes choked with garbage. You can see a area over here of Firozabad. There are stinking lanes, there's a lot of garbage, and these are like hovels with crumbling walls. Hovels means a very poorly constructed cottage. So there are crumbling walls, the walls are damaged. Wobbly doors means unsteady doors are there, and there are no windows, and many families of humans and animals, they live together in a very primitive state. So Mukesh, he finally reaches his home. He stops at a door of one house and he bangs a wobbly, unsteady iron door with his foot and pushes it open. When Mukesh bangs the wobbly iron door, and then they enter a half built shack. Half built shack means a half built cottage. Just like this, it is half built. On in one part of it is thatched with dead grass. You can observe over here, this roof is made of dead grass, and is a firewood stove over which sits a large vessel of sizzling spinach leaves. So there is a firewood stove just like this, and spinach leaves are being cooked in this. On the ground there is an aluminium platter, that is an aluminium plate, on which more chopped vegetables are kept. A frail young woman, frail means who is very sick and very lean young woman, is cooking the evening meal for the entire family. Through eyes filled with smoke, you can see because of this firewood stove, a lot of smoke is coming out, and her eyes are filled with smoke, but still she smiles and greets the guest. The young woman who is cooking the food is the wife of Mukesh's elder brother, who is not much older in years, but she has begun to command respect as the Bahu. She is the daughter in law of the house and she is responsible for all the household work. She is also in charge of the three men. She has to take care of three men, her husband, Mukesh, and their father. So these three people are there in the house. When the older man enters, the older man over here is her father-in-law, that is Mukesh's father. So when he enters, she gently withdraws behind the broken wall and brings her veil close to her face. Veil is a cloth or her sari to hide her face. She uses it as the custom demands. So these poor people, they are very careful of all the customs, and as the custom demands, the daughter-in-law must veil their faces before male elders. So she implicitly follows the custom. In this case, the elder person of the family is an impoverished bangle maker. So the elder is a poor bangle maker. He has spent long years of hard labor. He was first a tailor and then he worked as a bangle maker. But after so many years of hard work, he has still failed to renovate a house, to send his two sons to school. He perhaps never had the money to renovate his house, to reconstruct his house, or send his sons to school. All he could manage is to teach them what he knows. And what was the knowledge that he had? Is only the art of making bangles. These people never had the privilege of going to schools, having formal education. The only education that they could get, that they inherited, was the art of making bangles. And the same art or knowledge he has passed on to his son. These poor bangle makers have given various excuses to console themselves. We can observe over here that Mukesh's grandmother tells that it is his karam or his destiny. It is his destiny that because he is born, Mukesh is born in the family of bangle makers, so he will have to do nothing else other than bangle making. She is the one who has watched her own husband go blind with the dust from polishing the glass bangles. When you polish the glass bangles, you have very minute particles which gets into the eye. And these poor bangle makers, they do not have such safety equipments to protect themselves. And that is why they often lose their eyesight. Now here she says that can a God-given lineage ever be broken? So this occupation is something which she believes is given by God. And this lineage will be there in the family. It can never be broken. You can never opt for any other occupation. You have to do is that what she means. Now, born in the caste of bangle makers, these people, they have seen nothing bangles. And this is what the fact is, that you always tend to think what you know, what you experience. And these poor people have seen nothing else other than bangles. They observe bangles in the house, bangles kept in yards, in all other house, in every street in Firozabad. They have seen nothing but spirals of bangles. You can observe over here these spirals of bangles, and the streets of Firozabad, the towns of Firozabad are filled with all these spirals of bangles. You can observe over here small children how they are very minutely working, and they are joining pieces of glass over here, and here you can observe they are just decorating the glass pieces. Here is a hawker who's selling these glass bangles. So this is how all the people of Firozabad are engaged in one or the other types of work associated with glass bangles. So spirals of bangles of all the colors, that is sunny gold, paddy green, royal blue, pink, purple, all the color which can be created out of the colors of rainbows, that is there in Firozabad. They lie in mounds, that is, it is kept in heaps, in unkempt yards. Unkempt yards means which is not very properly cared, or it is kept in a disordered way. These bangles, they are piled on four-wheeled handcarts which is pushed by young men along the narrow lanes of the shanty town. And these people, they live in dark hutments, and they are forced to work near the flames of flickering oil lamps. They do not have proper electricity, and they have to work in oil lamps. They have to sit with their parents, girls and boys, they sit with their parents, and they join small pieces of colored glass into bangles. And they are so used to such work that their eyes are adjusted to the darkness than to the light outside, and that is why they often end up losing their eyesight. In this paragraph, Anish Jung describes about a young girl named Savita. Savita is a young girl who is wearing drab pink dress. Drab pink dress means a very dull pink dress she is wearing. Perhaps it has become quite old. So this young girl is sitting alongside an elderly woman, and both of them are soldering pieces of glasses. Soldering, it is a method by which two metals are joined together. So here in this case, pieces of glass are joined together, and this work Savita is doing. as her hands are moving mechanically like the tongs of the machine. Tongs is a type of a tool which helps us to lift an object without touching it. So her hands are also moving like a small machine, like the tongs of the machine. And then Anis Jung comments that I wonder if she knows the sanctity of the bangles she helps make. The bangles are very auspicious in India because they symbolize the Indian woman's suhag or the auspiciousness in marriage. But this young girl who is joining pieces of glass and making bangles, Anis Jung wonders whether she knows the sanctity of these bangles. And then she tells that it will suddenly dawn on her. Dawn on her means she'll suddenly realize it. One day, when her head is draped with red veil, when her head is covered with a red cloth, her hands will be dyed with red henna, and red bangles will be put into her wrist. Then she will realize the importance of the bangles, which is very important for an Indian woman. Then she will become a bride. And then Anis Jung compares this young girl Savita to the old woman who is sitting beside her. So this old woman sitting beside her also became a bride many years ago. And the proof of it can be seen because she has bangles on her wrist, but there is no light in her eyes. But there is no shine or no brightness in her eyes, like like a new bride has a lot of brightness, a lot of wishes in her eyes. It can be observed, but this old lady does not have any light in her eyes. Perhaps she is very sad. Now she tells this line in Hindi, एक वक्त शेर भर खाना भी नहीं खाया. This शेर over here, it is a measure of quantity in rural India. So she simply wants to say that even a stomach full of food she had never had. So she says, and her voice is drained of joy. She's very sad that she does not get even enough food to eat. She has not even one full meal in her entire lifetime. So, this is the plight of the bangle makers who are working tirelessly, but they cannot afford even one full meal in the entire lifetime. This is what she has reaped. So, this is what she has got. This is what she has achieved after so many years of working tirelessly, making these glass bangles, and she has never been able to have this full meal. Her husband is also an old man having a flowing beard, and he says that I know nothing except bangles. All I have done is to make a house for the family to live in. So her husband is quite proud that he has accomplished a great task, and the great task is to make a house for the family to live in. And after hearing him, one really wonders that this man has achieved what many others would have failed in their lifetime. That is a roof over his head. So, this is what this man has achieved. He's quite proud of it. But many other people living in Firozabad, they never have this accomplishment also. Anishan tells that the cry of not having money to do anything else except carry on the business of making bangles, not even enough to eat. So, this is the problem which rings in every home, which echoes in every home, that these people do not have enough money. They can only get so much money with which they can buy the raw material for making bangles, and they cannot even buy food for themselves, proper food for themselves. The young people in Firozabad, they echo the lament of the elders, means they also tell the same thing, that they do not have enough money to start any other business, to start any other work other than making bangles. This is what they earn. So little has moved with time. It means that little has changed with time in Firozabad. People have been engaged in mind numbing toil. Mind numbing toil means the hard work which makes the mind dull. They have been engaged in such kind of work, continuous physical work with which they have to be very careful, and that is why all the initiative and the ability to dream has been killed because of this mind-numbing toil that the people of Firozabad do. Now Anis Jung advises them. She is asking a question: why not organize yourself into a cooperative? I would like to explain what a cooperative is. Like you would have heard about the labor union. It is a kind of union which the people of a same occupation they make so that the others do not exploit them. For example, the laborers, if they make a cooperative, then they'll set the minimum wages, that if you get less wages than the minimum wage, you are not going to accept any work. So this will avoid exploitation of these poor people. So same thing Anis Jung is asking, that why you don't organize yourself into a cooperative. And she is questioning a group of men who have fallen into the vicious circle of middlemen. These middlemen are the people who buy the cheap products from these poor bangle makers at very cheap price, and they sell them at a high price, and they get the maximum profit, and the profit does not reach these poor people. So these middlemen have trapped these poor people into a vicious circle, a circle which does not end, in which they have been trapped, and their fathers and forefathers all have been trapped in the same. That is, they do not have enough money other to buy any other thing that they need other than the raw materials needed for the bangle making. They tell that even if we get organized, we will be the ones who will be hauled by the police. Hauled means to be dragged. So these people will be the ones who will be hauled or dragged by the police. They'll be beaten and dragged to jail as if they are doing something illegal. Because most of this police and all, they work under the influence of political power or rich people. And that is why the poor people have to suffer. So there is no leader among them. This condition can be avoided if anyone leads. But here these poor people tell that there is no leader among them because there is no one who could think, who could help them think differently. Because all of them have been observing only bangles and all they know is only bangle making. They have no education, and that is why no one can help them to dream of a different thing. Their fathers are as tired as they are. So everyone in their family is tired of doing this mind numbing toil. And when they talk endlessly in spiral that move from poverty to apathy to greed and to injustice. So they do not have any confidence. They talk about greed, and ultimately it comes to injustice that they face. So they talk about all these. Anis Jung tells that listening to the people of Firozabad, she can observe that there are two distinct worlds. The first world that she points out is that of the family. This family of Firozabad, it is caught in the web of poverty and it is burdened by the stigma of the caste. Stigma of the caste means the curse of the caste. So it is their thought that because they are born in the family of bangle makers, they can do nothing else other than bangle making. So this stigma of caste, that is curse of being born as a bangle maker, is there in their mind. They think it like that. And the other world is the vicious circle of these sahukars, middlemen, policemen, bureaucrats, and politicians. These influential people, they subject these poor people to such a life in which they are forced to live in poverty. And together, both the things, that is the family and the influential people, they have imposed a baggage on the child which is very difficult for him to put down. When he grows up, then he observes only bangles, and so he can think of nothing other than bangles and just simply following what his father does. So you can see over here that before he is aware of what he is doing, what the reality should be, what are his rights, he accepts is as naturally as his father, because you can see that many children, they are engaged in bangle making, and before their brain is allowed to develop, they already quite naturally accept this task of making bangle. To do anything else, any other occupation or anything else other than bangle making would mean to dare, would mean to show something or to dare which you are not supposed to do. And here Anish Jung tells that daring is not the part of growing up. When you grow up, you simply follow. With small young children, you can see that they simply follow what the elders are doing. They do not dare to do something different. Only it is only when you grow up and you realize that oh, you should do this, you should do that, then you desire to dare. So here Anish Jung points out that daring is not a part of growing up. But here Mukesh is different because Mukesh is daring. Mukesh is daring to be a motor mechanic. And same thing Anish Jung tells that when I sense a flash of it in Mukesh, I am cheered. So Mukesh is ready to change his occupation and he is determined that he will be a motor mechanic. Again, this boy repeats that I want to be a motor mechanic and he will go to garage and learn. But Anish Jung asks him maybe garage is a long way from his home, and to which he tells very confidently again that I will walk, he insists. So this ability to dare is there in Mukesh and Anish Jung is quite happy about it. Anish Jung questions him, do you also dream of flying a plane? Thinking that this wanting to be a motor mechanic is quite unrealistic, Anish Jung is asking him another question that do you also dream of flying a plane? To which he is quite silent. Why he is silent? Because he has never perhaps seen a plane or have never dreamt of such kind. So he stares at the ground and he simply says no. And in his small murmur, there is an embarrassment which has not turned into regret. He is not regretful that he does not know anything about plane, but yes, he is embarrassed because he is being asked this question. And he is very content, he is very satisfied to dream of the cars which he sees moving down the streets of his town. And few airplanes fly over Firozabad. Anish Jung tells this. So here this boy Mukesh is special, is different because at this young age he is daring to dream, he is daring to take up an occupation which none of his elders would have dared to do.